Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate their spiritual awakening process. And every Friday I upload a video where I answer a bunch of my subscribers' questions that I receive throughout the week. It is, of course, going to go up on Sunday. I had kind of a rough week, so I apologize for being late, but usually it is on Friday. And you can always find the questions down below in the description box. So someone mentioned that they are interested in opening their third eye. I think they even joined my third eye program. But when they do their own research, they're finding that, every 10th comment or so, as they put it, is something very fearful and very negative. Like, wow, you're really opening yourself up. You're opening up kind of a can of worms into the evil spirit realms when you mess around with your chakras and your third eye and your Kundalini, that sort of thing. So he's a little bit concerned. He says, how do I get over that fear? He starts to practice the instructions I gave him, and he starts to see a little bit of results, and then he kind of clams up because, again, he's got this in the back of his mind. Well, I don't want to open myself up and subject myself to this nuttiness that I keep hearing about. So I can't tell you how to take that fear away from you, because it is sort of a legitimate fear, and I had it quite often. And what got me over it is the more I experienced things like that were very unfamiliar, very spiritual and mystical in nature, the more I realized that there is nothing out there that can really do any serious harm. And even, God forbid, you do open yourself up to a scary, horrific looking ass demonic guy, and he's right there in your room looking at you, he can't do anything to you. He's not gonna pick you up and toss you against the wall or cut you or punch you. He's just gonna say, boo, boo, look how scary I am. And initially you'll go, oh shit, wow, Jesus, that is scary, man. But eventually, I've experienced this a few times where it's like, okay, it never escalates beyond that. They're just saying, wow, look at me, I'm scary. And then I realized, hey, just the fear went away from me that way. Just kind of like a trial by fire, just go into it. I would say, if this was me, and this advice is not for everybody, I would purposely open myself up to as scary situations as possible, and then deal with it from there. Even if you're initially very freaked out in the beginning, you're gonna find that they're not gonna be able to do anything to you anyway. So good luck with that, buddy. You'll get over it one way or another, whether what I suggested is a bit on the extreme side or not. That's up to you to decide. But if you truly want to open your third eye and that excites you, you will attract a solution to your dilemma. But that is mine, I would suggest. Someone has asked me if I notice a difference in my ability to eat meat during my ascension. And when I first started, I made a video about my opinions on that. But I don't like to talk about it because I know a lot of the viewers are vegans, and I don't want to offend anybody. But yes, I personally eat meat now. You can judge me if you'd like. I did go through a few years though where I couldn't, and it did repulse me. It weighed me down. It made me feel horrible. It was a kind of an obvious sign to just get rid of it, to rid it from my body. And at that time, I thought I'd be a lifetime vegetarian. But as my awakening kept going, I started to really crave meat badly, and my physical health was very poor. And once I started to kind of heed the advice of my intuition, even though it went way against what I wanted, I didn't want to, because like a lot of you guys, I watched all those documentaries, and I'm very well aware of how the situation is, and it wasn't a decision I came to lightly. But then I ended up going back to it, and I felt a lot better. And then I realized that for me to be the best version of myself at this point, meat is it's the optimal way for me to eat. I always find very ethical sources. But no, man, there was a time where not only did it gross me out, the sight of it just seemed so disgusting to me. And when I ate it, I felt really awful. I could actually feel the fear of the animal. I would experience, one time, the way, because it was an ongoing process. Initially, me and my wife, we gave up, and we kind of did this together simultaneously. We both gave up red meat. And then we were eating a lot of chicken and eggs and stuff. Then we got sick of that, and that grossed us out. And then we were just kind of like eating, the only animal protein was from fish. And then we were staying in Florida at this time, and we went and got these massive lobster tails, like frozen ones from like the fish market down in Florida. And this is like a treat for most people. It's an expensive, like, luxury sort of thing. But we ate that lobster tail, and it kind of went down a little weird. It was like a little bit of a weird experience. And then afterwards, me and her both felt so just consumed with fear energy. It was such a creepy experience, and I was like, no more of that. But again, That's what happened to me. I believe everyone's got to follow their own path. And some of you guys might give up meat and then find you're craving it again, but for moral reasons, you choose not to eat it anyway, and I respect the hell out of that. I think that's awesome. So the important thing is just to align your dietary choices with your belief systems and in conjunction with what your body is telling you. But what I will say is don't be too stubborn on one way of eating, because at least for me, my experience was all over the place in terms of my diet. I am always, even now, I'm always changing. I'll find a situation where I'm eating, various foods and kind of have a patternistic type of diet, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work for me at all. I got to find another way, and then I find it, and then it's like very obvious when I do find it, and it resonates with me, and I go from there. So hopefully that helped a little bit. Can someone become more sensitive to heat? I can feel heat from 25 feet away. I would think so. You're all going to become more sensitive, more and more and more sensitive as the days progress. And that means sensitive to everything, sensitive to positive influences, negative emotions. It really could be absolutely anything. Yeah, maybe you're pregnant. No, I'm just kidding. I know my wife, when she gets pregnant, she becomes very her senses kick on to overdrive. Similar in a sense, if someone says, what is the purpose of being this sensitive? It's a bit much. Where is this leading? Especially with the world in such disarray. Well, it's not that you're overly sensitive, it's that the rate at which your sensitivity is being magnified, it takes a bit of an adjustment period. So right now you're feeling, wow, I'm so overly sensitive. But now I'm way more sensitive now than I ever was 10 years ago, and yet it's not overwhelming for me. You come into a more of a grounded state with your sensitivity, and then you can really use it for your own, not like a manipulative, malicious advantage, but in a sense, it helps you lead a more calculated and intelligently driven, fruitful life. So that's where it's leading. It's leading you to become a hyper psychic, loving, empathic, light worker being type person. And you're just not used to it yet. Have I been able to been able to sense the issues of animals, like dogs? This person who asked me is a big time pit bull owner, a pit bull advocate. So am I. I used to own them. Yeah, I could see kind of most of the time quite clearly, because I also studied a lot of dog training. I've like kind of a nerdy little hobby about studying dog training, and I can sense the issues of animals. I can tell if they're shy. Usually what people mistake like aggression for is usually like extreme insecurity, and just by giving kind of a calm presence and being like having a loving, calm energy around the dog can like transform them. And yeah, I won't go much more into it, but yeah, I can. I don't know if that's because I've studied dog training so much and dog psychology in the past, or because I'm like the psychic wizard guy. I don't know. I don't have many physical symptoms, but I do have intense emotional issues. Bipolar. How can I manage intense emotions, mania, and even delusions and paranoia? Well, this sounds like it's just something sort of unique to your own path, and by you having this symptom, it's going to somehow be the most efficient way for you to transform yourself. It also could have something to do with your past lives, I'm not sure. But managing them, the best way to manage them is to get to the root of why they're there in the first place and deal with them, and to make use of them so you can get through the necessary reflections of all the stuff going on inside of you as soon as possible, because of course the manifestation of an unresolved issue in the form of emotional mood swings and mania and delusions is obviously not a desirable experience. So that would be my first bet. If you find yourself going like way off into like wacky land, I'd say why am I feeling this way? What is really going on? I would go into like a meditative state and be open to solutions and have that intention of coming up with why. I can't give you any little like slick 1, 2, 3 tips for this. What would help you a lot is just meditation. Become more meditative, and you can only really do that mostly in the fastest way possible with meditation of some sort. And that will allow you to be more detached from the emotional chaos, and therefore they'll have less of an influence on your actions, because you can see, wow, you'll be aware, wow, I'm feeling very crazy right now. I'm having these nutty thoughts and my emotions are all over the place. But again, the meditation will give you a little bit of space to where they won't be so intrusive and again influence your behavior so much. Is it normal to have problems with electricity? I'd be careful with throwing the word around problem. I experience, well, yeah, I guess you could say that in a sense, because I experience like computer malfunctions and stuff, like little glitches all the time. And I believe it's just a state of like energetic dissonance between you and your like growing and maybe even temporarily chaotic vibration and like these hardened 3D types of electronic products. You know, computers nowadays, iPhones, they give off an intense energy. In fact, when I really try to limit my exposure to being on my phone or especially iPads. Like I have kids, man. I see like parents, I'm not judging them, but a lot of parents let their kids kind of go all over the place with these freaking iPads like all the time. And my kids, if they're on an iPad for 10 minutes, they are like way out. They become way wacky. Their behavior becomes very dysfunctional and they become very scattered. So yeah, it's what I've learned to do is balance my exposure to electronics with stuff that has like the opposite effect, like going for walks in nature, meditation, just sitting there doing nothing, no stimulation at all, because it's so overstimulating as well, and also exercise. Have I ever had the feeling of energy coming into me from outside of myself rather than from me going out, like expelling out? I have, yes, and my perception was that it was the help of like a alien being, if you can believe that was sort of like clearing out my chakras and whatnot. That's my experience of it. Just plain energy, no. Maybe that was what happened to me. Maybe that was just some sort of like energetic cleansing from God or my guides or whatever. And I just framed it with the idea of it being like an extraterrestrial being doing it as a way for my mind to not go too crazy. I don't really know. But yeah, I've experienced it, and it can be sort of frightening because you sense like something is intruding in your space, your very obviously most intimate space, your energy body. And the advice I would have is not to go into fear if this is happening to you. I would sense that it's probably a benevolent force of some kind trying to help you tweak your energy a little bit and just let go and see what happens. That's kind of what happened to me. In the beginning, I was like, what the fuck? What the hell's going on? This crazy thing is coming into me. I can feel the energy of it. And I went into like panic mode. But then after it happened more than once, I realized that, you know what? It doesn't hurt. It actually feels very good. There is a benevolent quality, a divine quality to it when I can relax my fears and judgments. And the after effect is I'm like really in the zone. I noticed like I would be like really merged with my higher self after these like energy cleansings of this spirit dude. So that's my experience, buddy. Hope it helps. In response to one of my emails, someone emailed me and said, I love that thought, Victor, but where does this info come from? Your past experiences or your higher self? Who out there in the cosmos is assisting? I'm going through so much and I need some reassurance. You ain't gonna find any reassurance, honey. There's too much. What's happening is so out there and so beyond what the physical mind can define and conceptualize and therefore draw reassurance from, that it's a futile endeavor to try to draw reassurance from anything outside yourself. How do I know these messages? I don't know. All I know is that the writing and the videos come incredibly effortlessly to me. I don't have to think about them. I don't plan these at all. Even my emails, I just kind of wake up and whatever I just want to write about, I write about. And then it just so happens that so many people respond. I get not a dozen, but quite a few emails every single day, and then probably 50 messages overall on like Facebook and email, and people say, wow, that was spot on. That was so relevant to my life. I don't know how, I don't know where it comes from, I don't know why it happens. I just believe it's because I've opened up myself enough, I've let go of enough stuff to where this information can come through me. I'm like a conduit. So, and it's filtered through my own intellect and past experiences. So it's kind of a combination of both. But if you're looking for someone who's got the answers and can tell you where they've come from to satisfy your mind, you're gonna be waiting a long time. Managing a really bad temper. I would do a few things. I would have a sort of aggressive pursuit of finding where the temper comes from. Temper, anger, that's like fear and insecurity coming out in a kind of an overt form. At the same time, there's some practical things you can do. I would really take it seriously if you tend to be like flipping out on people. Not that we all aren't capable of doing that from time to time, but if it's a habit, if you're constantly like hurting people's feelings, they don't deserve it because of your own issues, then I would do something about it. I would try to keep yourself more balanced. A lot of things can throw you off your game and where you're more likely to do that. For example, if I'm like allow myself to get too stressed out and too unbalanced, where I start like reading less, exercising less, eating unhealthy foods, then I'm more susceptible to expressing myself in those negative ways. So I take responsibility for that because I have kids, and I try my absolute best to keep myself as balanced and healthy and like sound-minded as possible. So it's a twofold thing. Take action. Don't just wait for it to go away. Do something about it. But at the same time, find out why it's there in the first place, because it's probably trying to tell you something about yourself. Maybe your parents used to like abuse you or something, or they were like very angry, or whatever the way they were with you caused you to have a lot of rage and animosity and resentment. I'd look deep beneath the surface. You're not going to find the source of your rage and like anger and whatnot in the superficial situations in which they manifest. You'll find it deep down. Someone was saying, I can manifest all these different things. I manifest a good job and money and like in relationship, but I just can't manifest love. I would just addressing the way you put it, I would not, you can't manifest love. What does that really mean to manifest? And the way you are using it, it sounds like you're trying to create love. You are love. You are love. That's the best way to put it. You have love. You are love. And it's not about going and manifesting it, bringing it to you. It's about allowing all of the egoic baggage you're carrying around, which we all are, I'm not judging you, to crumble away, and then all that love, camera almost flew over, that will just naturally start to like buzz out of you. That's the best way I could put it. Stop trying to manifest it. You're not going to manifest enlightenment. You're not going to achieve or obtain enlightenment or love or anything like that. Those are two fundamental to the structure of existence. You are love, you are enlightened in a sense. And again, it's about uncovering, not about getting. Lastly, someone asked about what is the fourth dimension. I believe they meant fourth density or the fifth dimension. I think that's what they're implying. And how is it going to be? Like, say we all shift to a new dimension. Are we going to be able to see the third density or the third dimensional reality? Or how's that going to all work? Are we going to die in this life and then sort of pop into like a higher dimension? And I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows for sure. I believe it sounds, to my own understanding, is that it can go down in a lot of different ways, and we're all going to experience it a bit differently. My inclination is that there's going to be a time where we're sort of like overlapping, and that a lot of the people like you guys who are connecting with your higher selves more and more than ever will be grounded in like a fourth dimensional or a fourth density or fifth dimensional existence and vibrational state where you can perceive, where it seems like at first glance you're in one world, but there's two worlds overlapped, and you'll be able to see and maybe even interact with people who have not made this vibrational shift, but you are safe and locked in here. You're really kind of impervious to their nonsense and to what's happening. And as time goes on, they'll just sort of fade away, and then we'll just find ourselves being confronted less and less with this residual of the old dimensional earth. And you'll just be like, yes, well, I guess we're finally here.